Hello and welcome back to Level Zero Literacy Between the Seasons. My name is Mason and I am proud to bring you our Minisode yet on Celeste, a delightful little puzzle platformer that we all had a great time playing. During the episode, we're going to spoil the events of the game from beginning to end, and we're going to discuss topics that include, but are not limited to, mental health, self-harm, and LGBT issues. So use your best judgment before proceeding and enjoy.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Level Zero Literacy. Today, we are going to be talking about Celeste, a mountain climbing simulation game by Maddie Makes Games, released in 2018. Celeste follows Madeline in her quest to climb a mountain. Because that's what she wants to do.
That's the whole game.
There's nothing deeper.
Good episode. Good episode, everybody.
We got this Minisode thing down.
Y'all have heard I'm joined by Sam and Mason.
Hello.
This game, when it came out, won Games for Impact in the year that it came out.
Against a very stacked field of video games
That you've never heard of.
And this game really resonates with a lot of people.
I think this game mostly resonates with people for its queerness.
Yeah.
I think it resonates a lot with people who struggle with mental illness.
I think Well, I'm going to let Buck finish his intro before we start arguing.
So I don't know how far I want to go into telling our listeners about my mental health. I have mental health issues. I don't have the exact mental health issues that Madeline is portrayed to have in this game. But it did resonate with me a little bit. You know, I've never had an actual panic attack.
Yeah.
I have had shutdowns, but they are not the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I think this game does a good job depicting. I think this game gives people a very good basic understanding of what it is to have these things.
Mm. And, you know, I think like the interaction between Madeline and Madeline and Mr. what's his name? Oshino?
The hotel owner.
Yeah.
The hotel owner. You know, I've had those kinds of thoughts before, right?
Yeah.
Where like, I need to interact with this person positively for like my own sake, but
Right.
also
fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy sucks.
And, you know, I think maybe that interaction is like probably the best part of the game. I think some of the other stuff a little bit falls flat for me.
It does. I think the biggest thing about this game is that it's very clear that they wrote Theo to be sort of a foil to this entire experience. But I think Theo is very endearing, but he's not very interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to jump
around. He's not
around.
a bad character per se.
No.
It's just like it's harder to connect with what's going on with him because his humanness is so portrayed through his connections with Madeline.
Yeah. So like, for example, like to kind of bounce off of that, when you're going through the Eye Palace and you find Theo in the crystal prison.
Yeah.
Why didn't we get more out of that other than, I think I made this crystal prison myself.
So this is my problem. And like, it's really, I don't want to harp on this game too much because this story is very ancillary to the game.
Yeah,
this is definitely
it is.
more of a game than it is a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for a lot of it, it's hard to have this like interesting, deep analysis of like what's going on because most of the things that are going on are just like the surface level explanations. So like Theo getting trapped in the crystal of his own design is like, oh, he's trying to be an influencer and all of the eyes or like all the people that are trying to watch him, or all like his desires to like be observed and be seen. And it's like, that I think part of it is that in 2018 was a much more resonant, impactful experience than it is now, when everyone is literally just trying to do exactly the same thing, and we're sick of it, right? I think there's much less empathy for influencers and people trying to make themselves famous on the internet now than there was in 2018, when it was like an actual genuine interest and struggle rather than a dumpster fire of just human intelligence.
I don't like. Well, I don't want to say I disagree, because I don't. I mean, you're saying things that I think are valid. I just think that how we are meant to think about the themes of anxiety and depression and panic attacks and like how these things affect our lives comes through more in the level design than it does in the character work.
Yeah.
Because if I, like, it's like a really interesting way to think about how you would describe a panic attack to someone. If you're like, yeah, it's like the walls are closing in on you, but in your mind nothing's happening, and you have all the time in the world to think about it. But it just seems like the most pressing thing. And like, I feel like that urgency, that frenetic energy in the level design a lot. I'm like, oh yeah, this has like kind of like the energy, like I see what they're going for. I think that was much more what it was about. I think the characters are there because they wanted to make like a charming little character-based story, and not so much to be like the communicative part.
Yeah. So the question becomes, would the experience of this game be enhanced if there were fewer of these dialogue cutscenes? They just focused in on like the really important ones, like the scene on the cable car with the feather, and a few, cut back on the scenes with Mr. Oshiro, and the granny scene at the start. Is there too much of them trying to flesh out everything?
Yeah. It's an interesting thought, because I was going to say, like, the one thing that this game promises, like, with the dialogue and the story and what it's showing that it actually comes across, is climbing the mountain is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, it's impressive because, the way this game is designed, I always think, okay, I'm getting used to this now. Now it'll be easier. And then it never was.
Yeah.
For me. Like it
They definitely like continue to ramp up what they ask of you, right? Mm-hmm. In a way that like it never feels like you can have a handle on the mechanics, but you don't have a handle on like the types of things they're asking of you. They don't allow you to get comfortable in that way.
And even then the mechanics keep changing, right? The gimmicks keep changing, so your ability to actually get a grasp on things is always very temporary.
Well, I was playing this game. I sent to the podcast chat, this game is like, I want to be the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is. This game is designed like I want to be the guy, but instead of being like a stupid meme game, it's more of a...
Yeah, this game actually is very fair and challenging, whereas I want to be the guy is like a rage bait troll game.
Yeah.
Where, like stupid things happen where you jump and there's an invisible block or some shit.
And like, there's also like, they did purposefully, so like, I don't disagree with you, but they did purposefully make things unfair. There are, because I think what you said is right. I think if they did less story, the game would be better.
Even the narrative might, because then, like as Mason was alluding to, because of the level design, if there was less cutscene, then the players get to interpret more of the level design.
Yeah,
being the story rather than things kind of being more laid out and explained. Now, whether or not that would make the game better or worse isn't really for us to decide. But
Yeah.
I think it's just something interesting to think about where I think there are definitely games out there that do themselves a disservice with kind of feeling like they have to like put everything in front of the player for them to get it. And then as a result, making themselves weaker by just this sort of like downward spiral.
And like, the thing is like, I don't particularly hate anything about the cutscenes. I think the old lady is an interesting foil to Madeline, where, it's more like she's just there. Because I think the old lady is there to show Madeline that someone else has been through what she's going through, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's theoretically valuable, right? I don't know. Like, I don't know if I think the application of that in this game is adequate. I don't know what.
I would agree.
Okay.
I think the granny is pretty well made because she doesn't show up that much.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. This is like the one part of the game where I feel that my sort of experiences with mental illness match up really well, because when I first started having issues in life with these things, a lot of people, like, some of the first things that they would rush to tell me is like, you're not the only one going through it. You have a lot of people you can talk to. You're not alone. Tons of people have had these problems before. And then I didn't recognize the value of that sentiment, of that advice, until way later. And it feels like Madeline has that sort of relationship, that sort of discovery with the old woman.
Yeah.
Because it's like, Madeline kind of brushes her off at the beginning, and then later she's like, oh, the old lady, Madeline kind of values her more.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's how I felt a lot. That's like, people would be like, I've been through it before. And I'd be like, well, yeah, that didn't fucking help me. And then, like, now 10 years into having mental health problems, I'm like, man, and I'm so glad that there's like people I can talk to when things get bad. I'm so glad there's people who can relate to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the times in the game I felt the most seen. I felt the most related to. In general, I didn't relate at all to how Madeline and Badeline are portrayed.
Yeah.
But like with regards to the old lady, I was like, wow, they did a good job.
And that's I think maybe my hang up with this game is where I understood some of what Madeline was going through, but I didn't get the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And that does make the story resonate with me less. Right?
Sam, we might have to cut this part out. You remember the first time I played this game and I had played another game around that time that centered around mental illness?
Yeah.
Do you remember what that game was?
No.
Fuck. We'll cut this.
It's probably something we were playing for the podcast.
It might have been. But yeah, it's just like, I understand the portrayal. I think that the woman who made the game, or maybe wrote the character, right? I think she probably has very drastically different experiences. And, not in like a good or bad way. It's just like a kind of matter of fact.
Yeah.
That I didn't personally connect with this portrayal of like panic attacks and anxiety and self-doubt. Not to say I don't get it. I do get it.
I think the takeaway is that everyone experiences these things very differently. And so while this might be a good, and I said this is kind of what I was alluding to at the front. I think this game is a very good introductory way to start understanding these things, but not like a good, like, this is a good video game.
Oh yeah.
If you want to play a video game and get a grasp of an understanding about panic attacks and mental illness and all these things, This is a great place to start.
It's a very good video game. It's like,
Yeah.
But if you're looking for like a deeper, more resonant experience, you're not getting it here. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
They wanted to make a platformer.
Yeah.
They may not have wanted to make a giant, profound statement. They may have wanted to make a platformer that related something personal to them. Or maybe they did want to make a giant, profound statement and it just kind of went over my head. I don't know. That's always possible. But I think what they were looking to make here was like a passion project, a very high game, precision platformer, and then also kind of
They put the heart of the developers.
yeah,
it,
like in
right.
within that experience. That's
And
what
that's
it feels
good.
like to me.
And that's good.
I liked it.
Good game.
good video game.
Good video game.
Yeah.
God, I hate to do this because this game is like an excellent game, a game everyone should play, a game I love personally. I'd like to critique a little bit the idea that I understand the idea that your mental illness is like a part of you, right?
Uh-huh.
It's a part of what makes you human. It's a part of your identity. It's like something that you have to kind of grow to coexist with and not to just like shun or ignore or turn away, because that's not going to help anyone, least of all yourself. The idea that I am able to bring myself to new heights and reach new strengths with the help of my mental illness is baffling. Just nonsensical. I have anxiety. This shit sucks. It doesn't help a single thing in my life. I
Yeah.
have never
I
thought,
don't know.
not once, like, wow, I'm glad I have anxiety because it makes me grow in certain ways.
I don't
No,
think-
it's terrible.
I don't know. My read was less about that. It's not about your anxiety and depression helping you get to these heights. It is that the acceptance that
yeah.
this is a part of you will allow you to push past your struggles.
I could
Yeah.
see that. I could see that's not how I interpreted it, but I could see that reading.
To me, Madeline and Badeline's reconciliation at the end of the chase sequence is more about Madeline having to accept that this is a part of herself that she will never be able to be rid of, and less about her knowing, like, trying to patch things up, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be really rehabilitative. It is meant to be therapeutic.
And I do want to criticize the game design a little bit. I think the redoing of the same mechanics after you get the triple jump or whatever, it's not a triple jump. It's just a double jump.
The double jump.
After you get the double jump ability, I found it really boring. I didn't like it. I thought it was a little bit cliche. I understand what they're going for. They're like, wow, you're so much more powerful now. But I didn't want to do all the same things I already did again right after I had already done them, because this game isn't that long.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they just did like the peak thing. I understand.
I'm more powerful now that I can double jump.
Yeah.
Real profound game. If I could double jump in real life, I'd be cooler too. Wow, that's so deep. Oh, double jumping is cooler than single jumping. Fucking real head take.
All right.
I'm kidding.
And that was Celeste. Celeste.
Short and
Yes.
sweet, just like the game. Do we have moments?
No.
I liked finding the Pico 8.
I like the little campfire moment you have with is Otis, right?
Theo?
Theo, excuse me.
The campfire moment is good.
I like the little campfire moment
I
you
like
have
the
with
campfire
Theo.
moment.
I like the scenelets in this game. It's just like,
They're
None of them-
wonderful little breaks.
none of them really like stick with me that much.
Wonderful little breaks in the action.
I liked, thinking about Madeline as trans. I think it's a cool scene when Theo talks to Madeline about how she reminds Theo of his sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like a cool,
It's touching, right?
cool moment for her there.
Hell yeah.
I'm not trans though, so I don't know.
Transgender people weigh in on if that scene was cool.
Yeah, do that.
We'd love to hear from you.
Is our next episode Mass Effect?
Yeah, so we're going to do a mini-sode on Mass Effect 1, because we all ended up playing it anyways in preparation for Mass Effect 2. So we were like, we might as well. That game doesn't really have as much going for it narratively as Mass Effect 2, so we'll be Minisode.
That's why it's a
And we're
mini.
still going to do our season premiere of Season 2, Episode 1 is Mass Effect 2.
I gotta say, a lot of things are being really cemented right now as far as our schedule for season 2 and stuff. I'm very excited for the things that are upcoming.
Please look forward to it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.